Hi. So I don't know how well this is going to work, but some people wanted me to put it on video. So I was going to go through the test as quick as I can and kind of explain the answers. Um, so just skip ahead to where you want to be. But let's look at the first one. So vertex. Vertex is your lowest or highest point. In this case, it's this point right here, which is 1, 3. So your answer for the vertex is 1, 3. It's popping up on the screen. Um, and that's what they have down for an answer here. Um, our axis of symmetry is where it crosses here, so that's the x is -1. The direction, it opens upward, the tops open up here, so it opens upward. It's increasing. This one says x is greater than 1, so it's increasing from here to here. So that's x is greater than 1. What I've been showing you guys, though, is the same thing as, since this is the 1 here, it's increasing 1 to infinity. So either answer works. And therefore, it's decreasing on this end. It's going down, dropping down here. So it's decreasing from infinity. It starts on going on forever to 1. So either one of these work. On this one, it has x is less than 1. So less than 1, it's decreasing. Our range is from here, which is y equals 3. It is y is greater than 3 for the range. The y is higher than 3. And domain's all real numbers. When you get to this one, where it's just an equation, the equation's supposed to be y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. And since there's no b on this one, oops, plus c, that means that it's 0 for the b. The b part would be 0. So to figure out a vertex, we do our equation negative b over 2a. And since b is 0, and a is 2, it would be 0, and then 2 times 2 is 4. But anyways, 0 divided by anything is just 0. So that means our axis of symmetry is x equals 0. And that 0 also represents our x on the vertex. So our vertex, we know right now, is 0. And then we have to figure out the other numbers. So to figure it out, we plug 0 in here for the x. 2 times 0 squared is 0, and 0 minus 5 is -5. So this is -5. The direction, since this is a positive, it opens upward, just like the last one. So it opens upward, same as this one up here, up. Our y-intercept is, in this case, -5. Since our axis of symmetry is 0, so on this graph, it would be here at 0. That means at some point, it's going down till it hits the 0, and then it's going up afterwards. So it's increasing from 0 to infinity. Or you could say that it's greater than 0. So x is greater than 0. Either one's fine. And then the other one's opposite. So it's decreasing on this part, infinity to 0. And I didn't graph this one right over here. I just kind of showed an example because well, it's pretty close actually. 0, -5. Maybe that's pretty good. Our domain, again, is all real numbers because this supposedly goes on forever this way. So it's going to cover all our x's. So that's the all real numbers. And the range is greater than a -5. So we know that our y-intercept's at the -5, and it's a positive. It opens upwards, so it's going to be any number greater than that -5. When it says graph -1/2 x squared, there's a couple ways to go about it. You can start by plugging in 0. And if I plugged in 0, 0 squared is 0 times 1/2 is 0. So that means the origin's 0, 0. And then you can plug in other numbers. But if I look at some of the key features, this negative sign means it's going to go downward. So it's going to have a maximum up here. And this 1/2 says that if 1 times 1 is 1, this is half of that. So I'm going to go halfway up, which would be 0.5. And then if I go right, 2 times 2 is 4, which is way down here, but half of 4 is 2, so I would put my other dot here. So that's just the quickest way to do it, but you can always plug your numbers in, and you could plug in the number 2 here. 2 squared is 4. Half of 4 is half of negative half times 4 is negative 2. So that's the other way you could do it. On this one, same process. If I plugged in a 0 here, 0 squared is 0. 0 times a negative 1/3 is still 0. And then you want to pick numbers that are easy to do. So since it's going to be divided by 3, I'm going to plug in a 3 here because 3 squared is 9, and 9 times 1/3 is 3, and it's a negative. So a negative 3. And then once you get some dots, you're good to go. And it should look something like this. On this next one, we got to describe what's happening. Well, what's happening is since this is a negative 1/2, if it's between 0 and 1, in between 0 and 1, that's a vertical shrink. This says vertical shrunk, but it's a vertical shrink by a factor of a half. So that's more of a bowl shape. If the number is bigger than 1, like this is a negative 3. I know it's being blocked right now, but that's bigger than 1. That's going to be a vertical stretch. Like so. But this negative sign right here, you see there's a negative 3. That's going to flip it. So it's still going to be a stretch, but now it's going to be flipped. So it's a vertical stretch by a factor of 3, and it's flipped over the x-axis. Thanks, buddy.
He has it. Gavin has it.
Erase all this.
No.
It's not erasing. Sorry, I don't know how to erase from this screen. There we go. So we're going to move down so this isn't blocking us anymore. Okay, so next one. Does it have a minimum or maximum? Well, since this is a positive, there's no negative. If it's a positive, then it's going to open up, and it's going to have a minimum because there's a very low point, and that low point is called a vertex. And to figure that out, we want to use this little equation to figure out the vertex, which is negative b over 2a. And this is going to give us two things: our axis of symmetry and our x value for the vertex. And we're interested in the x value right now. So negative b, since I don't see a b, because remember it goes a, b, and then this one bc. Since there's no b, that's the same thing as 0 times 2. Well, it's negative 0, which doesn't really matter. Negative 2 times 1/3. Well, anything divided, 0 divided by anything is going to be 0. So our x value is 0. Now we just have to figure out the y. And to figure out the y, we're going to plug 0 into our equation. So if I plugged in a 0 here for x, 0 squared is 0 times 1/3 is 0, plus 4 is a positive 4. So this is our vertex. It's also our maximum, our highest, or our minimum, I mean, our lowest point. So when I go to 0, 4, I'll put a dot right there. Go ahead and try to erase this again so it doesn't get confusing. So now that we have that point, I could plug in the number 1 into my equation. And then figure out what that's going to equal. Or I can see that this is 1/3. So whatever number I plug in, it's going to be divided by 3. So again, I know 1 times 1 is 1. If I divide that by 3, it'd be a tiny little 1/3 here. 2 times 2 is 4. And if I divide that by 3, it's going to be down here. This is the important one. 3 times 3 is 9. But 9 divided by 3 is 3. So that's where we get this 3 from. And if I put that on the other side, we get a line that starts to look something like this. I don't know why I put this on the -4 because it's clearly a +4. So anyways, that would be up here. And it looked like this. 3 times 3 is 9, but then we divide it by 3 and it would be 3. So I'd go up 3 spots. So I apologize. I would race and restart, but it takes a while to do these. So ignore this bottom line. For some reason, I started at the -4, not the +4. And then when we go to describe it, when we're comparing it to x2, remember x2 is, it starts at 0, and then 1 times 1 is 1, 2 times 2 is 4, and 3 times 3 is 9. So it looks something like this. Well, as we can see, it's wider than it was before, so that's called a vertical shrink. It's more bowl-shaped, and it went up 4 units. So it started off at 0, and it went to the 4. So that's why it says it translated up 4 units, and it shrunk with a factor of 1/3. So I'm gonna attempt to erase these again. Why it's so difficult. So next ones, it says use this equation for questions 10 through 12. And tell where there's maximum or minimum. So since this is negative right here, that tells me it's going to open downward. So it's going to have a maximum. Then I want to plug in my numbers. The formula for this is called vertex formula. And this -3 right here, this represents my 8, which is horizontal, how much you go sideways. You got to keep in mind that this is going to be the opposite sign though, because the formula is x minus h. So that's actually a +3 for my h. So that means I'm going to go right 3. And this one number here on the back, that's supposed to represent k. And that's telling me to go down 4. So I'm going to go right 3, down 4. I'll put my dot here. And then I can plug in numbers. If I was going to plug in a number, I could plug in 2 into the equation and solve it. Or I could say that this is being multiplied by a -4. Well, I know I'm going down. And I know 1 times 1 is 1. But then I divide that by 4, that would be 1/4. So it'd be like a little dot right here. 1/4. Then I could say, or times 4. Geez, I'm so sorry. It says times 4, not 1/4 this time. So times 4. So 1 times 1 is 1. Times 4 would be 4. So since this is a -4, we're multiplying by a -4. So 1 times 1 is 1. Times that 4, though, 1 times 4 is 4. So I'm going to come down here. The same thing on the other side.
Ready? Yes. Mommy did it ready. Okay. Want some juice and watch TV for a minute?
Same thing on this one. We're going to use this equation. Right away, it says maximum minimum. Well, since it's positive, it's going to open up and it's going to have a minimum. So it's going to have a minimum. And to figure that out, I'm going to use the same little equation, -b over 2a. This time we have a b. B is the number right here in the middle next to x. That's an 8, but it's a -8. over 2b. And 2b is 2, or 2a, I mean. And 2 times a is 4. So it's 2 times 4. So what we have here is -8 times 8, and that's going to be a -1. So that's our x and our axis of symmetry right here. And then to plug it in the equation, I just have to plug in a -1. So I'm going to do 4 times a -1 squared plus 8 times a -1 minus 12. And when I figure that out, I'm going to get a -16. This is going to be -1 squared, which is a +1. 1 times 4 is 4. 8 times a -1 is a -8. And minus 12. And like I said, you'll get a -16 here. And so that's why our minimum is -1, -16. So when I go to graph that, I'm going to start with my y-intercept. I'm going to go, notice these are going up by 2. So I'm going to go left 1, down 16. Now I could plug in numbers here. I could plug in the numbers 0 and 2, because those are what's in between it, into the equation and figure those out. Or I could say that it's being multiplied by 4. So if I go right 1, 1 times 1 is 1, but I'm going to take that times 4. So 1 times 4 is 4. So I'm going to go up 4 spaces. And I'll do that on both sides. And then I go right 2. Well, 2 times 2 is 4. But since we're going to take this times 4, we're going to go up 16 spaces, moving us all the way up here. And then we have enough to kind of see what it's going to look like. And this is the actual answer. So our domain, again, it's going to be all real numbers, and our range is going to be y is greater than a -16, because -16 is our lowest point. Sorry for the loud noise in the background. I'm at home, so it's a bit loud. So let's look at this one. We're going to have since it's positive, it's going to open upward, so we'll have a minimum. We'll do our -b over 2a. Our b is this -4, so a -4 over 2 times a. And a is, since there's no number, that's just a 1, so it's 2 times 1. Well, this double negative is going to make it a positive, so this is really 4 divided by 2, and that is 2. And that's where this 2 comes from. Then to figure out our y, I'm just going to plug in 2 here. Well, 2 squared is 4, minus 4 times 2, which is 8, plus 6. And you get another 2 for that too. So our minimum is 2, 2. Remember, since it's minimum, it's going to open up like this. This one's nice and easy because there's no numbers here, so that's just 1. So I can say 1 times 1 is 1. 2 times 2 is 4. So we're going to go up 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll do that on the other side. And so graphing on this one's really easy. Our domain, again, is all real numbers. And our range is, it has to be greater than 2, so y is greater than or equal to 2. I know it's sloppy, but if you guys tried to write with this little sensor too, you guys, it wouldn't look great. Yeah, I would have spent more time on this, but I'll be surprised if anyone watches it. You'll have to let me know if you actually do. Graph the following. So this one, it got a different formula, and this formula right here is our intercept formula. And our formula looks like this. Y equals a, and then x minus b, parentheses, and then x minus p. Honestly, those could be the wrong letters. I'm not sure, but they're not that important, the b and p. Those are just stands for our intercepts. So this intercept, since this is a negative, this is actually a positive 3. That's one of my x-intercepts. This one, since this is actually a negative 3, so we're going to put this one over here. To figure out our axis of symmetry, we add the two together and then divide it by 2. Well, negative 3 plus 3 is 0. Divided by 2 is just 0. But also you can see it's right in the middle of the 2 dots. That's my axis of symmetry. So it's right in the middle of here. To figure out the other number, I'm going to plug in a 0. So this is 0 minus 3 and 0 plus 3. And I have to multiply those. So really what I'm doing is I'm taking negative 3 times 3. And negative 3 times 3 is a negative 9. And so then we have negative 9 divided by this, or times this negative 1/3. But really what you're doing is you're multiplying it by, well, when you multiply by a negative 1/3, you're really just dividing by a negative 1/3 here. So this is really negative 9 over negative 3, which is going to come out to a positive 3. And then I got enough points, and I'm just going to draw that out. All right, let's look at this one. Same thing. This is a positive 2, so I'll put my dot here, and this is a negative 6, so I'll dot my dot here. The number right in the middle here is, this goes 3 over 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So a negative 2 is our axis of symmetry. So I'm going to plug in a negative 2, and when I plug in a negative 2 here, I should get a positive 3. So negative 2 minus 2 is a negative 4. Negative 2 plus 6 is a positive 4. 4 times a negative 4 is a negative 16. And then we take that times 1/4. And we take that times 1/4. And I should get negative 4. So our axis of symmetry should be negative 2, negative 4. And then this represents what we're going to multiply. So we know we're going up, and we already have our points here, so I can just draw my lines like so. This obviously doesn't look symmetrical, but that's okay. Erase all this mess. Oh, darn it, I should have kept it. It says, what are our zeros? So our zeros are wherever it crosses. I still have these little ones here, but it crosses right here at the positive 3 and the negative 3. So that's where these zeros come from. And this one crossed at 2, crossed at a positive 2 and a negative 6. So that's where the 0 comes from. You could also find them from this. Is this odd or even? So just looking at this one, as long as it's going right down the y-axis and both sides are even. So for example, this one goes over 1 to the right and over 1 to the left, I guess. Then it's going to be even, but it has to go down the axis of symmetry. So if it was like way over here, that one's not even. It has to be right down the y-axis. On these ones, to figure out if they're odd or even, you plug in a 1 and a negative 1 into both of these equations and see what they come out to. If they come out to the same number, then they're even. But if they come out to same number but opposite signs, they're odd. And if they come out to completely different numbers, they're neither. So if I did 1 to the 5th power, I took 1 times itself 5 times, I'm going to get 1. And if I take negative 1 to the 5th power, if this is an odd number, you're going to come out with a negative 1. If this would have been negative 1 to the 6th, though, then you would have came out with an even 1. But anyway, since the signs are opposite, this is going to be odd. if we would have got -1, and then let's say this was a 5 or something, then there would be neither if the numbers aren't the same.
No. That's all right.
Well, this one, on this one, we're gonna graph it again. So you gotta find that -b/2a. And since there's no b, we've seen it enough now that we know that x is gonna come out to 0 because this is 0 here. So if we know our x is 0, and we plug a 0 in here to figure out our y, this is gonna be 0 minus 4.